Welcome everyone. This video is on the topic of the frightening fried liver attack. I made this video inspired by one of my students named Polad, and for all of you guys who are curious about what is a fried liver and how do we deal with it in chess. So the fried liver starts with the Italian game, which was e4, e5, knight f3, and explanation. Control the center and develop your bishop and queen. That's why this is a good move. Black does the same thing. Knight f3 attacking the pawn. Black defends it with knight c6. And bishop c4 we have the Italian game. And there is something after this really good move. I like this move for black. It's called the two knights defense. And in the two knights defense, you're supposed to it's an aggressive move. You're supposed to take the initiative and attack the pawn. Nowadays, modern grandmasters, the top pros, play this move, and just defends the pawn, develops the bishop, gets ready to castle. But this move is very interesting and still considered one of the top moves. And for scholastic players or any beginners in chess, the threat of these two pieces combining forces on this pawn and only one defender gives a lot of trouble for black. If black just does nothing, for example, knight takes pawn, this knight is forking the queen and rook. And to make it worse, if you panic and move your rook out of the way, can you guys find the best move? Pause the video. Yes, it's bishop takes pawn. And now the bishop is forking the king and rook. And after the king moves, you take the rook. White's in great shape with extra material because the rook is worth more than the bishop or knight. 3 points versus 5 points. This is the funniest move of all. If black plays knight e7, can you guys find the checkmate? Pause. And the checkmate is bishop takes pawn, checkmate. Black smothered himself with his knight. So those are some fun traps in this opening. Neither does queen here help, just bishop takes pawn, check. If you take here, you get 2 pieces for your queen, but your queen's 9 points, and these are only 6 points worth of pieces you got, and they have your pawn, so they got 7 points for your 9 point. They got your queen and pawn, which is 10 points, and you only got 6 points, so that's a loss for black. After the check, king moves. It would be important to move the bishop back, and then go for this knight fork again. If you didn't move your bishop back and you just played an instant move like pawn here, developing your bishop, black will chase away your knight, and now black wins a piece. So even in a great position, you have to be cautious. Your opponent's always trying tricks in chess. Well, in this position, the best move is d5. It blocks this diagonal to the king. You could play this really crazy counter sacrifice where you're going to sacrifice this after they take here, but that's a different story. That's a different lesson. This is called the Traxler Counter Gambit. Anyway, d5 is the best move. And then white plays pawn takes pawn. And best move for white. And black has several interesting moves. Knight d4 is interesting. Knight a5 is considered the best move. b5 is actually interesting. This will be different videos that we can talk about these different moves. Knight a5 is definitely the best move. Just know that you should play knight a5 after something like check, pawn push, takes. Can't take the pawn because the knight defends it. The bishop used to go back here, but now it goes back to d3. And the point is it could control the center, and this diagonal is very important. Even though you're blocking your own pawn, it's considered the best move. Black can play, for example, knight d5 attacking here, and white will have to retreat. Black develops, white castles, black castles. And for the price of a pawn, white does have a pawn, so you can't discount white's position. But black has all these pieces controlling the center of the board for the price of a pawn, and these pieces are not very developed over here. The queenside pieces are not developed, so interesting position. I like black here. But that's why a lot of professional players don't play the fried liver attack, is because of this variation for black with knight a5. Really strong move for black. And after the move I want to show you, though, let's recap. It's pawn up, knight attacks pawn, knight defends pawn, bishop c4, the Italian game. If you're scared of the ramifications of the fried liver attack and you don't want to deal with this knight attack, you can play simply bishop c5. If knight here, you take the free knight. Be careful, though. White might try this trick. And you might want to save your bishop for black, but then you'll lose your queen. So you better just take here, attacking the rook. After the rook moves, you can deal with your bishop that's under attack. Just take the pawn or something. That's how you deal with that trick. So yeah, you could, if you're scared of the fried liver, you can play bishop c5. So we have knight f6, knight g5, d5, good move for black. And after d5, you can play pawn takes pawn for white, and then black plays this move. This is kind of a mistake. White does have the computer recommended pawn sacrifice to defend your knight, even better than the fried liver supposedly, but I love the fried liver. You should play the fried liver. Knight takes, oh well, I could let you pause the video, but it's kind of hard to find if you don't know this. Knight takes pawn, sacrificing the knight, forking these two guys, and the king has to take. Now I'll let you pause the video. You have a way you can attack the king and the knight. And don't take here because the queen takes you back. So it's a queen move. What queen move would it be? Pause the video to find out. And the answer is queen f3, attacking the king and the knight. Notice if it goes back to the corner. Takes. Checkmate. This king is smothered there. Or you can just simply give away your bishop and get checkmated this way. So if you go here, white wins back the piece. Everyone has 9 points worth of knights and bishops, minor pieces. But white has 7 pawns, and black only has 6 pawns. So white is winning this endgame. So it's best for black to try to defend the knight. Now black has 2 defenders, and white has 2 attackers. So 2 defenders, 2 attackers. And so black's in good shape. White should not take, because black has an extra bishop in this position. So instead, you add pressure to the pinned piece. This knight can't move. It's pinned because it's check. So now you have 1, 2, 3 attackers, and you only have 1, 2 defenders. Now we need another defender. So the knight goes back, and now white can blow black away with d4, another pawn sacrifice. Really great move. And black should defend and kind of just hold on. And black's king is wide open. White's going to have at least 2 or 3 pawns for the piece with a good attack. So I wouldn't want to be black here. Well, black a lot of people will just take the pawn, and you can go, what is the best move? Pause the video. And if you found queen e4, check. You're correct. If the king goes this way, you just start taking all the pieces, and you got your bishop back, and you have an extra pawn. Or you don't have an extra pawn, but this king's under severe attack. He's going to be wide open, and it's going to be bad news. Queen takes pawn check, for example, and this king's being hunted, and you got your piece back. Well, that means there's a funny variation. That's what black should do. If black is stubborn and goes this way, you blocked your queen. Now your king defends and your knight defends. 2 defenders versus 3 attackers. 1, 2, 3. The knight attacks. Knight takes knight. Knight takes knight. Queen takes knight. And then only 1 move. Can you find it? King goes to e7. And there's 2 different checkmates. And it's fun. This is fun. So pause the video. Try to find, there's a queen move that leads to checkmate and a bishop move that leads to checkmate. Can you find both? Pause the video to try. And the answer for the bishop move is check. King goes here, and you have the bloody queen takes queen checkmate. You can't go out here as bishop. You can't take here because the defender, and it's checkmate. Or the gentle checkmate here. It's defended again by the bishop, and you can't go anywhere else because this bishop and queen is checkmate. So that's another checkmate. What about the queen move? Did you guys find the queen checkmate? Well, the queen goes to e5. And if it goes here, you have a very funny pattern. This is actually called the dovetail. Imagine a little birdie right here. Can you see the feathers and can you see the tail feathers and the little dovetail? This dovetail mate. and you can't take here because the bishop smothered by his own pieces. I like that one. There's another funny one. If bishop blocks, queen takes, and you have a different kind of checkmate. You have what's called the swallowtail. Again, there's the tail feathers of the bird and the head of the bird. You can imagine like a little birdie with wings or something. But that's another bird checkmate, type of checkmate. And so this is some of the devastating stuff that can happen if you play the fried liver attack. If you allow the fried liver attack with knight takes d5. Don't play knight takes d5. Play knight a5, and we'll cover more variations in the next video. See you guys and have a great day.